So I'm down in Lim. We've got a DAF LF, reported engine warning on it, but it only happens when you turn the ignition on in the morning. Once the vehicle's started, that's it, goes off. I've got a feeling I know what it is, but we'll get in the truck, see what's going on. So supposedly, this truck keeps coming on with engine warning every time you start it up in the morning. But at the moment, all we've got is an engine light. So we've got our VCI plugged in. We have CAN communication, powers and grounds. These are available on the shop if you want them. I think they're a lifesaver for knowing what's going on with your OBD socket. Anyway, let's crack on with JAL test. So now we know the symptoms, we'll jump onto JAL test from Eclipse Diagnostics and we'll see what's going on with this LF. They said it was an engine warning, so we'll just jump onto ECS DC6. We've got a fault code reading. And there we go. VTG actuator communication error in CAN bus. Now the communication error in the CAN bus is actually an internal fault, not the wiring to the actuator. So we'll get the one off the van, get this changed, and we'll go from there. So because this LF has got all this protection on the bottom, there's no way we can actually get to the drain plug, so we'll either take it off at this pipe here, I think, and they're changing the coolant in the vehicle anyway, so we'll just crack on with that. So this is the part we need to change. We'll have to get this turbo elbow off here, and then we'll get the coolant out of it because I can get to this bottom hose down here. That'll come out the way. We'll get the coolant pipes off to it, one from the EGR cooler here. That's got to come off because I can't get to the bolts at the back otherwise. This pipe will have to come off here, and then we can get it off, calibrate it, put it on, calibrate it to the turbo, all should be good. So we'll just pop this clamp off here. So this pipe can come off here now. Oh, the bolts have actually fell out the block. Oh, amazing. You go over there out the way. So now we've got our induction pipe out the way. We've got a bit more access now down to this bottom hose. I can undo this Jubilee clip and drop the coolant out of it. We've got access to this pipe here, and all the bolts. Let's try not to get soaked now. Right, well that's quietly coming out of there. We'll start on the rest of the stuff. We'll just crack this coolant pipe. Just add a bit of air to the system. And then we need to get a bolt out of here. We've got this bolt to take out of there now. That bolt to take out of there. This pipe will then come out of the way and we can get to the bolt here. This actuator won't come up past this coolant pipe otherwise, so that's why this pipe's got to go. One down, one to go. There we go. You really need to change this rubber because it always leaks on me. Aha. That one should do it. So we'll just pop our electrical plug off here. We've got 4 Allen key bolts to undo now, and then we'll plug the new one in and start the calibration. That's that off. We'll just check our range of motion, that it meets both stops, which it does. You can see one groove there, one groove there. We'll get this mating surface cleaned up now. Half of it's oil, half of it's water, hence the 2 gaskets that you can see here. So because this is a Cummins engine, I certainly wouldn't be going to DAF for the part. I'd give my friends in Darlington a ring, and they've supplied me with a genuine whole set actuator and also a fitting kit. That's the part number for the Cummins fitting kit. So we'll get this lubricated and locked up now on the actuator, and we'll go from there. So that's the grease applied to the teeth. So we'll just move this into the correct position, and this pin should drop into its locating hole. There. So with this now locked up, we can remove the pin and fit the actuator. Now we can't just fit this to this, because that's not how this is calibrated. Certainly with gel test or other diagnostic tools anyway. We've got to calibrate this first, so we need to set this into like a 0 position. So we'll plug this in. What will happen now is when we run the first phase of the calibration, this will set itself to a known position on the computer. And then the second phase will be where it rotates through both end stops and back with this fitted to the turbo. So we'll go and do the first half of the calibration, then we'll fit it to the turbo and continue with the second half of the calibration. So our ignition's on. We'll go to calibration, turbo actuator. So, like I say, this is a 2-part installation calibration. But this is to align the actuator to calibrate it later. We've carried out this procedure because it's the disassembly. This procedure must be performed before installing the actuator on the turbo, which is what we're going to do now. So now we've just got to click align. So this is setting it to its 0 position. We'll press continue. Now it's asking us to assemble the actuator onto the turbo. So back to the truck. Now the kit does come with dowels, and by all means screw them in where you want. But if you can get this over there and slide it down there without unplugging this, then you're amazing. I've never used the dowels personally. So we'll just carefully drop this into the right position. And that's it. I can put my bolts in and it shouldn't go anywhere now. So now this is our 4 bolts nipped down. It's important that we finish the calibration and not forget about it. That's always fun. So we'll go jump back on gel test and finish this. So we've successfully done all this. We'll press continue. And now it'll calibrate the actuator to the turbocharger. So our calibration process has now been completed. We'll turn the ignition off and on in order to perform a switch off reset of the control unit and save the changes. 1 switch off and 1 switch on. Right then. This is exchange. This needs to go back. So we'll get our coolant pipe put back in here. Always helps if you don't cross-thread it, Russell. We'll get our coolant pipe fitted back in here with our new O-ring, because nothing makes me more annoyed than this leaking once you've built it all back up. We'll put this bolt in here and we'll run this bolt in here. We've got these 2 tight now. We'll move on to the rest of the system. We'll get our coolant pipe back on first before we put the induction pipe back on, or intercooler pipe. Let's get you set up. Oh, well, you had to go to the bottom, didn't you? We won't go too crazy with this. Nothing like stripping a Jubilee clip. So we'll get this filled up with coolant, get the faults cleared, and that should be it for the customer. So that's our coolant filled up in our header tank. Let's get this truck started. So we've got a engine warning still on here. This is why it's important for us to do good housekeeping afterwards and clear all the faults out of the vehicle. This will most probably be attributed to the coolant level because we've had the coolant out and the ignition on. So we'll go and jump onto jowl test now, clear all the faults out of it, restart the vehicle and just check everything's okay. Obviously with me running the vehicle now, we can check for coolant leaks as well. So we'll just reconnect to the vehicle. We'll go into fault code reading. Everything's inactive now. We'll delete these errors. We'll check for faults again. There's no fault code stored. And that's that. So we've got a DAF CF now to have a look at. Euro 6. Lots of warnings on the dash apparently. Brake system truck malfunction, trailer control malfunction, brake lining wear. So we'll jump into the truck now, see what's going on, and we'll take it from there. Right, let's hop in, see what we have and haven't got on the dash today. Oh, stability control, ABS. So we've got air pressure too low, brake system truck malfunction, stability control, transmission air pressure low, brake lining wear, and more air pressure low. Tidy. Well, we'll start it up and build the air up to start with. We'll do Euro 6, because that's what it is. So we'll just do an all system scan on this vehicle. I know it's a lot of ECUs to cover, but at least it will build a proper picture of what's going on with the vehicle. So what we'll do now is we'll just check our trailer modulator wires. We'll check it from the bulkhead to the valve. Just ensure that their integrity is good. Other than that, the customer can purchase a trailer modulator valve. So we'll go to diagrams. We want model specific wiring diagrams. Trailer modulator 380. So this is our trailer control valve. We're interested in this pressure sensor here. 7 and 5, that's what we want to test. So we'll do this to 56H24 and 56H23. So, to the front. Right, let's get in here. So we're looking for 56H23 and 56H24. 56H, that's this one here. So we want pins 23 and 24 here. So that's 30, 29, 28. That's 23 and 24. That's our power supply and ground for the pressure sensor. So I'll just have a look at the powers and grounds to this trailer modulator valve first. So what we can do now is test these wires for continuity. So I'll put that on the red first and see if we've got continuity here. So we've got continuity there. Have we got continuity at the other one? Well, that's beeping, even though you can't hear it because of this Volvo. So we'll just test them with a test light now. So I've just hooked up our wiring to 24 volts there. That's then wired to the front. Let's see if we can light a bulb here. So as you can see, the bulb lights.
That means our circuit is perfectly fine. It needs a trailer control valve.
So we're in Bradford today. We've got a DAF XF Euro 6 non-start.
Oh yeah, this ain't good, is it? Alright. So we haven't got any fault codes on the dash. We've got nothing displayed to the driver. We'll get GEL test plugged in from Eclipse Diagnostics and see where we're going with this. Alright, so in you go. No power on pin 1. So, Euro 6 XF. Let's see what we've got. I'll just do a main system scan. So this is our CAN topology view of all the ECUs in the vehicle. We haven't got any active fault codes, but we have got without active fault codes in PCI. So, no. We've got a coolant temperature sensor fault, a DPF switch inhibition issue, power supply loss. Right, there we go. Pressure control of the injection rail, very slow rising. Power supply too low again, flattened batteries most probably. So we can work on this pressure control of the injection rail, very slow rising. It's only happened once, but I don't know when the faults were cleared last, so we'll go with this to start with, I think. So as you can see, we've got pressure sensor on the injection rail, which is the first thing everybody changes, which there is absolutely no need to do. And then we've got the pressure regulation valve of the injection rail. Again, something that needs testing before you go throwing £330 at DAF for one. So the cab's safe and secure now. We'll get this tipped. I think we'll put the window down as it's easy to get through when the cab's over. So nothing looks untoward on the engine. What the hell? Can't see any fuel leaks or external issues. I'm just going to check the fuel filter, because if the lips split on the bottom of the fuel filter, it won't build pressure very quickly. And this is something that I've had before. So for a start, there's no splits in this lip. But we're also missing the ball out of this. This has to be the stupidest place to get a ball stuck in my life. How the hell are we going to get that out of there? Oh, yes. Ah, got you. What an effort that was. Thank God for the blowgun. So now we've recovered this no filter, no run ball out of the bottom of the filter housing. How well does the filter sit on here? Right. Will it build pressure? Doesn't seem to be building any pressure. Interesting. Let's check the filter under here. So we'll just put a new seal on here too, because I think it's drawing in air somewhere. That feels a bit more positive. Right, you're going to make some pressure now. So we'll just get the return valve out the block. And as you can see, it's cracked and compressed. But we'll get a new second-hand one in and see what happens now, and replace it with this one. So we'll screw this in the block, tighten it up, and see what happens. We've changed that valve in the back of the block. Let's see if it'll start. Still not the best. It could still be doing with being better. So now the truck's starting to take you through this. I'm not going to bore you with another fuel leak-off test, but the reason it's still not starting as well as it could do is because our injection pump correctional value is at 58%. So I've just discussed with the customer now that all these injectors and unit pumps and the fuel pressure control valve that they've just swapped will have to go through again. But that's something that they're wanting to do. But I fixed the non-start basically. But now they've got issues with the high pressure circuit. So we'll leave that to them. But as far as I'm concerned, that was the fault. Well, that fault certainly gave me the runaround. The control valve, from what I know, is to prevent cavitation in the return line and maintain a certain return pressure. So why it started better after changing it, I don't know. But with a correctional value like that, I'm surprised it even runs at all. I really need to catch up with the customer on that one. As for our trailer modulator fault, the customer changed the valve and solved all the issues with the brake and stability control systems. The reason you get an inhibition of various systems as they all work in unison with each other. So if you had a faulty trailer wheel speed sensor, for example, you'd get similar issues on the dip as the truck's EBS system couldn't function correctly. And that's about it for this week's video. As always, if you don't want to miss anything from me, hit the old subscribe button. If you've enjoyed this week's video, please give it a thumbs up as it really helps the channel, and I'll hopefully catch you next week.